special ABN AMRO World Tennis Tournament edition of Changeover Chat presented by Sportmaster Sports Surfaces. I'm your host, Randy Master. Today's guest reached a ranking high of number 4 in the world in 1996, the same year he won Wimbledon, defeating Pete Sampras in the quarterfinals on his way to the championship. After his long, successful career as a player, he became tournament director of the ABN AMRO tournament in Rotterdam, Netherlands, where he joins us tonight. A native of Rotterdam, please welcome Richard Krajicek.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you coming on. And so, Richard, first of all, is your busiest week of the year. So I know you've got a little bit of time. You were eating cake as you approached the interview. I screwed up. You ate some of the cake, so
Just finished the cake. Yeah, so I'm happy to up a little
so here we are. First, how's it going so far? There are different circumstances that you've ever dealt with since you've run this tournament since 2004. There are no fans. You're used to having 120,000 people over the course of the week. How are you adapting to this new tournament, Richard?
Yeah, it's just the way it is. That's how we approached it from the beginning, and I think that was the right approach. We were very fortunate last year that we were one of the last weeks that we're still able to have the tournament with all the fans, and 2 weeks later, basically, everything closed. Indian Wells couldn't commence, and a lot of tournaments didn't happen, and then slowly you got tournaments with some fans, and of course Australian Open did have fans, but it's because of Australia and New Zealand are, I think, the two only COVID-free countries. And now, we're good. It's a shame, but that is not happening. But now with the vaccine, we really have the feeling it's only for 1 year, and then it's bearable. If this would look like, this is going to be for the next 5 years like this, then I don't know how I would feel. I think I would be in a different state of mind, frame of mind. But the feeling that it's only for 1 year, we're like, you know what, let's make the best of it. Like with the court, and say, okay, it's only going to be a TV product. We're not going to have any fans. So let's make it as good and as enjoyable to watch for people, and as special as possible. And also, maybe we learn a few things. Maybe there's a few things in the court of other things that we are doing this year that we want to keep for next year. So so we basically build a giant studio with a tennis court in it. That's how it feels.
Yeah. Well, one guy you may have around next year is Andy Murray, who seems to be the talk of the tournament so far as how much press he's getting. On one hand, people are saying, even before the tournament, I know you gave him a wild card, smart thing to do. It's Andy Murray. A lot of people are saying, why is he even out there anymore? He's playing on one hip. He had retired. Should he even be playing? Andy comes back in a press conference yesterday and says, this is absurd. I can play on one hip and I can play with the best players in the world. Leave me alone and let me play tennis. Obviously, bringing him in as a wild card, Richard, you love Andy Murray. You wouldn't have brought him in had you not.
I think he's a great player, great competitor. Won Wimbledon 2 times, the Olympic Games 2 times, been number 1 in the world in the biggest, toughest era there was, with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. So unbelievable, great player, and I think he's a great guy. And he's at the end of his career a little bit, and he just wants to see how far he can still push it. Of course, he's got the injury, but once you stop, that's it. And I think he wants to see how far he can push it. And I think that for me, what's probably the biggest question, how good can he recover from matches? Because he's won over a year ago. He won the tournament in Belgium, in Antwerp. So he still has, I think, a very good level. He says in practice, he still can compete with the guys. So let him enjoy. It's maybe going to be another 2-3 years, and I don't know how many years, but he's not 20 anymore. But let him enjoy now, and have the feeling if he still can compete, maybe he's gonna make another semi-final in the Slam, or winning is going to be difficult. But yeah, I love it that he tries to keep playing, and yeah, he loves this game. So I think instead of respecting that he's uh, people who's been number one, who's been at the very top. You have some of them, that they feel like maybe too good to compete, and I only want to compete when I can be number one. He loves the game so much, so it's almost, yeah, he's not afraid to go out there, maybe lose some matches, but there's gonna be a chance for him maybe that he's gonna have that good result, and it's totally worth it. If he wins that, maybe that big match or a 5-set match in the quarterfinal of a slam or something like that. I would love for him to do that.
Well, one guy that won a lot of 5 set matches in a slam was obviously you, Richard. I had Mickey Lawler, your agent, on my show. She was my 50th guest, so I interviewed Mickey last week. She said you were the most difficult client she's ever had.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding, Rich. She said so many nice things about you, and it was ironic that your tournament was happening the next week. But yes, she said great things. But she did bring me back to when you signed with her, and there was a funny story and competing agents, and um, that leads me into when you made your big splash on the tour. And I was going through your history this morning. It looked like your first big run was the semifinal run in Australia in '92. Would you say that? As far as
Yeah,
you
for sure.
played? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you beat Steek in um, five in the quarters, and then, which looked like an absolute war. I don't know, it was like six in the fifth or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
then, but then you had to default the match against Courier. I was watching that tournament. I can't remember what the circumstances were at that point. Can you give us a
Yeah.
background as to what happened there?
Yeah, it was yeah, a big surprise for me. I mean, the year before I played the first Grand Slam ever, which was in Australia as well, made it to the fourth round already, which was already a shock. And then, yeah, a couple of 1 year later, so four Grand Slams later, I made it even to the semis. Played a couple of tough matches, but also I was playing doubles, and also made it to the semifinals there. And that was just somehow too much for my shoulder. So the day before I had to play Korea, I had to play the semifinals doubles, and yeah, I was warming up and felt all good, and even hit some overheads was no problem. And then as soon as I start to serve, it's a little bit different technique, and oh, my unbelievable pinch in the shoulder. I thought, okay,
Yeah,
it can happen. Loosen it up, and yeah, I really tried, and then yeah, I said, what, let's give it a try. It hurt a lot, so we played 1 set. I could hardly serve, so I was like rolling my arm over,
yeah,
just pushing. And we played Woodbridge Woodford, I think, who were in their first semifinals of a Grand Slam, and they were so nervous that we even won the first set, but I just couldn't play anymore. So I
yeah,
defaulted that treatment. Tried to play against Korea, but the next day I just couldn't. So I thought, I'm not gonna go out there, and I was really sad about that. Even though I had my best result by far. I mean, I was only 20 years old, and I
yeah,
already made a finals of Slam. Yeah, I left Australia a bit sad, so I didn't get the chance to at least try to make it to the final.
yeah. Well, the place that you didn't leave sad was '96 Wimbledon, which I'm sure you've talked about 400 times, but maybe we can talk. Maybe we could talk about it one more time on this show. You're the first player. You become the only player to beat Pete in that 8-year stretch where he won all of those Wimbledons. I was actually talking to my friend Steve Flink this morning, who I think Steve Flink,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Hall of Fame writer,
Was he for
and
Sports Illustrated or not before? Did he write for Sports Illustrated or not, or New York Times or something?
he wrote for a couple of tennis
Ah,
magazines, and he's written 2 books on uh, on Pete.
okay.
And what he had to say, and he was at the match, and he said that your ability to disguise your first serve may have thrown Pete off a bit. I don't know if that's something that you had ever thought about. He said you returned, and I actually watched some of the match this morning. He said you just returned off the backhand side, forehand side. Um, it was lights out. I watched the break point in the first set where you ripped that forehand to win the first set. But you just looked like you could do no wrong that day. And then there was a rain delay. A lot of things going on in that match. Can you take us back to that special win?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I liked always to play against Pete because he had a big game, big serve, big forehand, but at least he had a weaker shot. It was the backhand shot. So I knew if I could keep attacking the backhand shot, then at least I had a chance. That's why I never liked to play a guy like Agassi or Courier. They had like no weaknesses from the back, so they could pass me very well. But anyway, with Pete, and he really came out, yeah, very confident. You know, he won 3 years in a row quarterfinals. So I think he was like 24, 25 matches in a row unbeaten at Wimbledon. And I remember the first couple of games, I was really lucky not to get broken. And slowly from like 3-0, 4-0, it started to change a little bit. I started to win my serve a bit easier. And yeah, then at 6-5, I played a great game to break him. And yeah, and like you said, I mean, my weakness was the return, and especially of the backhand side. But that day, yeah, I don't know. It just was meant to be, I guess. I was hitting them well and playing a lot of great shots. And then I remember I won the second set also. I think that was in the tiebreak. And then the rain came, and it was not too bad of a rain, but one of the court cover ball boys, he slipped. So he went under the tarp. So the tarp went over, and they realized he wasn't there. So they had to put the tarp back. Court got very wet, and we had to come back the next day. And I had in my brain, oh, unbelievable! You know, I'm really beating this guy. I have the upper hand now, the momentum. And is this the luck of the number one seed? You know, sometimes they really luck through matches. Like, oh, no, okay, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Come back the next day and just play good. And that's what I did. So I was really yeah, happy. I mean, it was difficult to play it in 2 days, but I was serving big, which I did more often, but mainly returning very well.
Yeah. Well, you move on to the finals against Mal Washington. It was a straight set win. Again, I'm going to bring up something you've talked about 400 times. It was an interesting event when you guys were standing at the net, um, pre or post coin flip. Who is Melissa Johnson? Do you remember who she is?
Melissa Johnson is a woman I will never forget. Another blonde, you know, I'm married to a blonde, my wife Daphne, but Melissa Johnson is the other blonde I won't forget. I remember we the coin toss, and then we had to turn. We go to the net post and go to the photographers to take the picture of the two finalists next to each other, and then this woman shouts out, and we look to the left, and yeah, she runs completely naked, only with a little apron. She runs in front of us. Uh, and actually, she lifted the apron actually just in case we didn't know what was on it, but I had an imagination. And it was for me, it was good, you know. Like I was very nervous. I felt like this could be my only Grand Slam final, which it was looking back. And this is my biggest chance to win, I think, Wimbledon, because to be in the final against Mel Washington was a good player, but he wasn't a grass court player. So I relaxed and I played a great final. So beat him in straight sets. So I was, yeah, always. It's interesting to know how would I have played if she wasn't there. But I was happy, and maybe to Mel something else happened. I don't know what he was thinking, but maybe a different emotion than when he saw her. But for me, I'm very happy with Melissa Johnson. So thank you again, Melissa.
So let's move forward. You attended the Rotterdam Open as a kid, I'm assuming, as you came
Yeah,
up through the ranks. You were a great junior. You played the Rotterdam Open a couple of times. You won it a few times, didn't you?
yeah, twice.
Twice. Now you're the tournament director. It's been such a big part of your life, Richard. What and it's got to be kind of a dream job because it's, again, this tournament's been inside you your entire life. And what attracted you to this job back in 2004, where you were coming off your playing career, and this is a business job in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah. Well, in 2003, the CEO is not CEO anymore of the site who owns the tournament, Ahoy. Yeah, he approached my Dutch business advisor, and he said if I was interested in doing this, and my arm was really bad, and I knew I didn't have that many tournaments in me anymore, and I was like, yeah, well, I don't know anything about organizing the tournaments. So, yeah, that's okay. We have a very good staff who knows everything about organizing them, but we need somebody who knows his way around the ATP, who knows the agents, who knows the players. Yeah, we want a former player. That's my vision. How I think that you could help the tournament organization. We got that covered, but we need that link between the tournament and the players and the agents. And yeah, so I thought, you know what, this is probably the best way to stay close to professional tennis at the highest level.
Yeah.
The only other way is being a coach, but I had young kids. My daughter was 6 at that time, and my son 4, and I didn't want to travel 35, 40 weeks a year. So and yeah, I thought this was perfect, and it really turned out to be. I mean, I'm doing this now for, I don't even know, what's it, 18 years now, and I love this job. I mean, it's for me the greatest job that I can have. I'm still in tennis, the sport I love, and I can still go to the big tournaments, visit there a couple of days, and yeah, just still be involved. So really grateful I got the opportunity, and I think I really helped the tournament also improve a little bit. You know, all these people around working for the tournament, and I'm just one of them, and we all try together to make as a team try to make the best tournament possible. And I think every year we succeed, and sometimes we're a bit lucky with a very good player field and a great winner. And sometimes, yeah, we have also lesser tournaments, maybe with matches that are not as great, but that just happened. We're happy together. We cry together when it's not going well. And we always say, okay, let's go next year. In 51 weeks, the tournament is back again. Let's go for it.
Yeah. I've worked for tournaments here in the US, both WTA and ATP, been to all the events in the US. I've been to the slams. I haven't been to many ATP 500s, the City Open, the only one in the US. Um, what makes and all tournaments have their own personality, and you have a different feeling every time you're there. What makes your tournament, Richard, so special? And how do you keep the fans happy? How do you keep the sponsors happy? And most important, how do you keep the players happy? What's made this so successful where you really make everyone happy that's a part of this event?
Yeah, you have all these stakeholders, like you said, the sponsor, the players, also the media, the fans, everybody. And I think the most important thing is that we always want to improve ourselves. We always want to think of how can we think of something new to improve ourselves. I think you see it clearly, maybe more clearly in other years, what we've done to our center court.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough time in COVID, in these COVID times, you know, the finances are not great, but we thought, you know what, we can save on everything in a way, but the way the court looks, the way we want to present ourselves also for the players, you know, let's make it as nice as possible for people to watch and for players to play on this center court.
Yeah.
And we're lucky with ABN AMRO, you know, the main sponsor, title sponsor has been it from the beginning, so for 48 years. So normally, you know, you're the organizer and then you have a sponsor who gives you money and you just organize the event and that's it. But now it's really a partnership. You know, we have our promotional money, we do it together. So we're always looking how can we make the tournament as good as possible. You know, so not like how can the brand ABN AMRO come across the best, or how can for the organizer be something the best. So we really feel like a partnership, and we are very lucky with the site, because not only we have a great center court where 10,000 people can sit, but we got all these exposition halls. So we have like 5 practice courts in another hall with the same level as the center court, the same kind of court. And we got the most unbelievable VIP village, really unbelievable. And but also for the public, you know, big shopping area, all these shops, also good restaurants. For the kids on those practice courts, we don't use all of them. We have clinics. So when you come with your family and only one person is a fan, let's say the wife is a fan, she can watch the tennis, but the husband, he can walk around, maybe have a nice drink or something to eat, and the kids can go to get a clinic, sometimes with some tennis players even, or with the coaches we all hire. So we really try to make it a day for the people to enjoy, and therefore we are basically always full. And that's what the players love. You know, they like to play in front of a crowd. I think now with Corona, they realize even more how much they like to play in front of a crowd. So yeah, it's a combination of a lot of things. But I think the the relationship and the partnership we have with our title sponsor is very important. That's the base of was everything, and also the idea that we are only happy when we've had a successful. We only have a successful event when all these people that you actually mentioned before, when the players are happy, the sponsor is happy, the press is also happy. You know, they feel like we give them as much as possible access to the players. Also, the crowd is happy. You know, we try to always interact with the fans for the players. So autograph sessions, interviews. Yeah, so yeah, we're very lively tournament, and always I think we're doing actually a pretty good job. But every year we are humble again. That after we think, okay, what could we have done better? We always have polls with the people, like what do you want us to improve? So we are never relaxing.
Right. Well, you have run a tremendous event since 2004, and you're to be commended on your giving back to the sport, not only as a tournament director and mentoring a lot of these players coming up, younger players that you see at your tournament, and you can kind of guide them through what's to come in their lives. And then also the Richard Crycek Foundation, I know, is very important to you, and we don't have to go into that too much. But what does that mean to you, the foundation that you started many years ago in your name?
Yeah, it means a lot. I started after I won Wimbledon, inspired by the Arthur Ashe Foundation. And what we basically do, we build sport facilities in inner city neighborhoods, playgrounds, where you can play tennis, football, and basketball. We have 125 now in Holland built. And we give scholarships to kids. You know, first we get these kids to come together and do sports together. About 5,000 kids every day on these 125 playgrounds do sports together. And we give kids the opportunity to educate themselves, also to become a sports teacher and come to work for us or come and work somewhere else. And we give over 2,500 of these scholarships to kids to educate. So first we teach them basically to do sports, to how to work together, how to maybe some discipline, and then when they want to improve themselves from education point of view, we are also there for them. So yeah, I'm really happy that also there we can contribute with the foundation in kids' lives, and therefore you also contribute to their neighborhoods.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear, and you're a treasure, Richard, to the sport. I've been watching your career, and what you do with your tournament there and your foundation is incredible. So I want to thank you so much for your time, for coming on the app today, and best of luck. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Bye,
Thank you,
Randy.
Richard. Okay, bye-bye.